Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Political Ray. We've got some stories coming out over the last day. The main one being President Trump getting into it with the governor of Maine during the what was it? The governor's conference, whatever meeting, whatever it was. Basically, just a meeting of the governors. He spoke at it, and he got into it with the governor of Maine over the fact of his executive order banning biological men from competing in women's sports. Anybody with half a brain would see that it's unfair, it's not safe for the women, and everything else. But he got into it with the governor of Maine, saying that she would see him in court and yada, yada, yada. We'll get into that. And let's see, what else we got here? So they filed there's a lawsuit apparently that got filed by the Trump administration under Title IX, and we'll get into that too. And we got the D.O.D. reviewing non-essential consultants for termination, and we also got some Epstein news coming out. Pam Bondi saying that she has the Epstein list on her desk. So we'll get into this. A couple stories to get into today. First off, we'll start with with President Trump getting into it with the governor of Maine, Janet Mills, and we'll take a look at this. And you guys, you tell me what you think. I think he's right. There's a lot of back and forth on X and everywhere else on the internet saying that she owned him and then he owned her and yada yada yada. I think he's in the right. That's my opinion. I'm biased, I know, but I think he's got a legal case against her. It's an executive order, and she claims that she's going to follow, state and federal laws, and he is right when he tells her that, he is the head of the executive branch, and he can, enforce the federal laws, which are no biological men in women's sports. But let's take a look.
I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility to comply with Title IX. They have an obligation, a legal obligation, and we'll be enforcing aggressively, and we're going to be protecting our citizens. We're going to protect. So just to end this administration, I understand.
And I think he's right. Like I said, I don't agree with the fact that biological men are playing in women's sports. Title IX was put into place for a reason, and you can argue with the fact that there are women out there that are very strong, very athletic, whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is that men are physically, scientifically proven they're physically stronger, faster, what have it. So having them in women's sports, I don't agree with it. It's dangerous to the women. They're separated for a reason. It's for the protection of women. And anybody who doesn't see that and lets biological men into women's sports, I don't agree with it. And call me old fashioned, but I'm for protecting women. That's all. So now there is Trump has his administration. There's we'll get rid of this real quick here. Here we go. All right. So President Trump has put in, I don't know if it was President Trump, but Maine under Title IX investigation after Trump's fiery exchange with governor over trans inclusion in sports. Look, this was a few hours, 2 or 3 hours after this exchange. And I'm not opposed to it. Look, he straight up told her, if you don't comply with the federal law of not letting biological men in women's sports, you're going to lose your federal funding. And the fact that she's still letting it happen within her state is crazy. There was a story about a kid who placed fifth among men, decided that he was going to go trans, and then they let him compete with the women and placed first. Of course he did. And a lot of people say, well, it's just an outlier. There's not a lot of these stories happening. Well, it is. There was, what was it, 890 medals that were taken from women by biological men in sports. And that just came out recently, and it's crazy. You're taking a safe space again, for women. You're taking it away from them just to appease 1% of the population who, in my opinion, just has, well, it's not an opinion. They just have a mental problem that they need to deal with. Okay. Anyway, take a look at this article. This is from Fox Sports. The United States Department of Education has launched a Title IX investigations into Maine's DOE, Department of Education, and the state schools district for allegedly ignoring President. Not allegedly, they are. It's not allegedly. Come on, Fox. Anyway, ignoring President Trump's executive order on transgender athletes in girls and women's sports. Maine joins California and Minnesota. Naturally, that's no surprise there. As states to be investigated for not allegedly, they are. The use of this word allegedly, it's used in order to protect the news organizations, and I get it, but I can't speak for California and Minnesota, although I'm fairly certain that they're probably doing it too. But just from the article that I read about the kid who was competing in women's sports in Maine now, who took first place, took it away from women, it's not allegedly, it's happening. Anyway, today, the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights sent a letter to the Maine Department of Education Commissioner Pender Macon, however you say it, announcing that OCR is initiating a direct investigation of the Maine Department of Education amidst allegations that it continues to allow male athletes to compete in girls' interscholastic athletics, and that it has defined female athletes female-only intimate facilities, thereby violating federal anti-discrimination law, the U.S. DOE said in a press release Friday. This, like I said, this was just like 2 or 3 hours after the exchange between President Trump and Janet Mills, the governor of Maine. So, the letter also notifies MDOE that OCR is launching an investigation into Maine School Administrative District Number 51, after it was reported that Greeley High School, a school under its jurisdiction, is continuing to allow at least one male student to compete in girls' categories. This is the one I was telling you about. This kid placed fifth amongst the males. I forget what sport it was, but it might say in this article. But then he decided to go trans, and now they're letting him compete with the women, and he took first place. Of course he did. Anyway, Trump and Maine's Governor Janet Mills clashed over transgender women in sports on Friday, with Trump telling her at the White House that she must follow his executive order. This is from him saying, "You're not going to get any federal funding," to which she replied, "We'll see you in court." And like I said, the lefties are saying, "Oh, she handled him well. This is how you handled President Trump," and blah, blah, blah. And the right is saying Trump owned her. It's a mic drop moment, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't say it's a mic drop moment. I would just say that he just told her facts. He said, "Look, if you don't comply, you're going to lose your federal funding." And then she said, "Pretty much if you do that, we're going to take you to court." And he said, "Okay." I wouldn't call it a mic drop moment. I would just say he's giving her the facts and letting her know what's going to happen. What are the consequences of her defying his federal executive order? So, anyway, she told him, "I'm complying with state and federal laws." Trump said, "Well, we are the federal law, and you better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't." Like I said, that's all the exchange was. It wasn't a mic drop moment. It wasn't him owning her. It wasn't her owning him. It was just him letting her know, if you don't comply with the executive order, there's going to be consequences. That's it. That's all there is to it. like I said, I don't. This is the main story going around X and everything else right now. Now, like I said, I don't see either side being a win for either side. I just see it as President Trump saying, "Look, these are the consequences if you don't go along with the executive order. This is what's going to happen." And then her saying, "Okay, well, I'll take you to court over it." And he said, "Okay, that's fine. She can take him to court. She's not going to win, but she can take him to court over it." Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on to the D.O.D. reviewing non-essential consultant contracts for termination. And this is something I come across this from Breaking Defense, Defense Business Report. Came across this when I was just scrolling through the news on Yahoo. So the memo mandates an assessment of the essential I can't talk this morning. Pretty much the essential contracts for the purpose of terminating or descoping contracts for activities that are not essential for the department to fulfill its statutory purposes. Look, all this is just they're going through. Look, this is part of President Trump's agenda to cut back federal wasteful spending. This is within the Department of Defense, so like the Pentagon where Pete's working. And this is just Pete following up with President Trump's promise to cut back federal spending and federal waste. They're going to look at these contractors. They're going to say, they're going to go through and they're going to say who they need and who they don't. Because I do believe that there's a lot of wasteful spending, especially within the government. And the DOD's probably got a lot in there as well. I mean, the Pentagon's probably got some people in there that are just there taking up space and collecting money. So I'm all for this too. Anyway, excuse me. Defense Department has ordered all acquisition shops to review consulting service contracts to determine whether they are essential to Trump administration priorities and terminate those deemed not fit to that bill. Like I said, I'm okay with it. Let's see, to ensure we are accountable for every dollar we spend and that we are aligned with the President of the United States, America First priorities, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth's direction, component heads will conduct a comprehensive review and validate the existing contracts for consulting services. This was a memo that was put out on the 18th, signed by Stephen Morani, who is performing the duties of DOD's Undersecretary for Acquisition and Sustainment. So, like I said, I am okay with it. It's just more weeding out of wasteful spending, and I'm okay with it. I just wanted to share that because I didn't see that anywhere. I thought it was pretty newsworthy, and it's just like I said, more of President Trump doing what he promised and getting rid of wasteful spending. More of our taxpayer dollars that he's saving. I'm okay with it. Anyway, so the next story we got here, we got the Epstein list. This is going around on X too. Pam Bondi apparently has the Epstein list on her desk. She is going to be going through it. Don't know how quick she'll be doing it, but so a personal opinion on this. And I say if because this has been a talking point for a very long time. The Epstein list has been out there for a while. And yes, I understand that, President Trump, he's got people in there now that are willing to do what others weren't. And I understand that. But I still say if because there's a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of rumors about a lot of different people who have visited the island, been on the planes, everything else. So I say if because I'm not 100% sure that this actually will come out. And if it does, I believe it will be highly, highly redacted. And there's not going to be a lot to it. You might see a couple names maybe, but that's just my opinion. But we'll take a look at this. This was Pam Bondi on Fox News. And her saying,
it's sitting on my desk right now.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you. The deal.
Not yet, because she hasn't reviewed it. She said it's sitting on her desk. Look, like I said, the JFK thing, how long has that been? A long, long time ago, okay? Before my time. And the Epstein list, like I said, has been a talking point for a very long time as well. Just the magnitude of what these things could do to the country, I don't expect a full list or a completely unredacted, paperwork to come out on either of these things. Because of the magnitude of them, the conspiracies, the deep state corruption, everything else. Would it be great to see the whole thing in its entirety? Sure. I would feel like everybody that's on that list, everybody that's done wrongdoing, should be held accountable. I'm always for that. Anybody that does any kind of wrongdoing should be held accountable. But I don't see the full list coming out. I don't see a full... Like I said, it's going to be highly redacted. Very, very highly redacted. I don't see the full list coming out. That's just me. I could be wrong. I'm just spouting my opinions on here. But like I said, there's a lot that goes into this, and there's a lot of people that could be in a lot of big trouble. You got high paid, highly, Hollywood, high elites. And you got elites within the government. And like I said, everybody that did wrongdoing should be held accountable. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I just don't see a full list coming out. I just don't think it's going to happen. Should it happen? Yes. Will it? Probably not. That's my opinion on it. But we'll see in the next, I don't know. I don't expect it to come out anytime soon. She's going to take a while to review all this. She's going to redact a bunch of stuff. Again, my opinion. She's going to review a bunch of stuff. She's going to redact some things. She might put it out in maybe a week or two. That's my guess. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she'll put it out on Monday. Maybe she'll put it out tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe, over the weekend she'll throw it out there. Today's Saturday. Maybe she'll throw it today or tomorrow. I don't know. But I would tend to believe that it's probably going to be more like a week or two. Give her time to look through everything and, make sure nothing major, as far as like a complete crumble of the government over this, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Appreciate you hanging out through my rambling. If you like what you saw, you can subscribe to me on YouTube. You can follow me on Rumble, and you can also follow me on X at ThePoliticalRay. And I hope y'all have a great day, and God bless.